It's gonna be great.
Welcome to the Besties in the Books podcast, guys. I'm Liz.
And I'm Ashley. And today is part 4, believe it or not, of our 50 Shades of Grey miniseries. Yes, May is wrapping up here, and our time on It's Gonna Be May, It's Gonna Be Grey, 50 Shades of May is coming to a close. Remix. Oh, you guys, this was our 4th mini-series. If you've joined us for all of these mini-series, thank you. If you haven't, well, we got playlists for you, okay? Because we've done Harry Potter, we did Twilight for the first time, both of those reads, and we did The Hunger Games, leading up to Sunrise on the Reaping, and now 50 Shades. So, you know what that tells me? There's something for everyone.
Yeah,
right?
We're very well-rounded. Yeah. And we're about to get even more well-rounded. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, because we're going to announce our summer mini-series, okay, at the end of this episode. So stay tuned. There will be a new musical instrument, entering the chat at that point. So you guys will want to stay tuned. We're not going to announce it here, though. Sorry. You got to wait. But thank you guys so much for participating in those polls and suggestions on what musical instrument I shall have to play in the summer. So we're excited for that. Thank you so much for joining us in this series covering 50 Shades of Grey and talking all about what all the hype was about, what the hell's happening and why. And we're going to talk more about it. We're going to finish our thoughts here today in this episode number 4.
Yeah, so this is the wrap up. So all of our thoughts on the book series as a whole. So we'll give you our overall star and spice rating for the whole 3-book trilogy. We did not cover the spinoff, so just the 3-book trilogy. We're going to be talking about the wonderful cinematic masterpieces, which are the movie adaptations 1, 2, and 3. And then we will also be talking about our read of the parody book, 50 Shames of Earl Grey by Fanny Merkin, which was originally going to have its own episode, but we decided it would work best if we just worked it into the wrap-up episode. But we will discuss that book and what we thought of it. And that's a spoof, so really, I want to say watch out for spoilers, but you don't really need to. It's just kind of a funny good time. But if we're gonna give anything away, we'll make sure to let you guys know. And then we'll rank everything. So we're going to rank the movies. We're going to rank the books. Which should we like better? And just if anyone is new here, this was our first introduction to 50 Shades of Grey, basically. So neither of us had read the books before. I had watched the first 2 movies, but it was when they came out and it was so long ago, I remembered nothing. And so I felt like I was watching them for the first time. This is all brand new, all new information for us. And if that sounds good to you, to follow along on the wrap up of our journey so we can put this 50 Shades of Grey series behind us. Stick around. But before we get into that, we just wanted to say thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys so much for being here, taking time out of your day and your book to tune on in to listen to us weirdos with microphones talk about today 50 Shades of Grey and all the things in May. So hey, make sure to follow, and subscribe anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, including YouTube. We're at Besties in the Books podcast everywhere. We're also over on TikTok and Instagram too. So we'll be having, our summer series go up where you can, if you're going to read with us, follow along on Fable at Besties in the Book Club, kind of, send us your reading updates and things like that, which we repost on stories too. If you're listening or watching this video, you can now comment along with us on Spotify. So, hey, I want to know, you guys, if you read 50 Shades of Grey at any point in your life, what was your favorite book, or did you hate it all? Let us know. We want to know. You can also comment on YouTube, of course, but that's really exciting that we can do that now.
Or and did you love them all so much that you can't choose a favorite?
Yes. We want to make sure everybody's included here because, there's something for everyone, to each their own. We want to hear it. Defend your case. Ready, go.
Let's just kick this off with our, one sentence-ish, spoiler-free star and spice rating for the book series as a whole. So for the original trilogy altogether.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go.
Okay. Yeah, overall, I'll give them 3 stars. this isn't what I signed up for. I was sold a bad bill of goods. How did we get here? Where do we go? Cotton Eye Joe. No, not really. I feel misled, misrepresented. I felt like this didn't get as dark as I was hoping to, except in a trauma-based way. And I was not expecting that. So I also don't think it was very well written. So that's my cumbersome review for you guys.
Yeah.
Spice rating 4, sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's good.
Doesn't mean it's good. It's true. It's true.
Sorry if people love it. Sorry. It's just my opinions.
Yeah. Okay, so my star rating would also be a 3, and that's generous. Like, I rated the first book a 4-star just on like good vibes and like the fact that it was like Twilight.
Good vibes and good intentions.
It was like Twilight. Book 3 was a solid, or book 2 was a solid 3-star. Book 3 was a solid 3-star. Honestly, okay. It's hard to describe, but we'll just try right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm giving the series as a whole a 3-star because I could see how someone who enjoys a good contemporary billionaire romance with maybe a few psychologically dark themes might enjoy it. However, it wasn't for me, and I did not like the writing style. Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say that's like my official rating compared to other contemporary romance. If I were to rate it in my, like, the series as a whole and my overall enjoyability once I was done with it, I'd probably rate it a 2-star.
2?
Yeah. Because,
Same.
and the reason why it'd be lower is because I feel like I kept holding out for it to give me something more, and it just kind of never did.
Yeah.
So, like I said, compared to other contemporary romance, billionaire romance, we'll give it a 3. However, yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like entertainment-wise, it would get a 2 for me. And then, yeah, the spice, I would rate it overall for the trilogy a 4 spice as well. But as Ashley said, not because it's good or even because it's particularly dark, but just literally due to frequency of it happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's basically it. Okay, goodbye.
And hey,
this episode's over.
If you guys, yeah, we're done. Oh, we have more to say. Don't worry. But if you remember from our first episode, you know, about the specific first book, 50 Shades of Grey, I was predicting Liz and I would have totally different takes on this series because she's like, I'm having a great time. And I'm like, I can't wait for this to end. You know, the series, not the series. I love doing the series, but just like the books.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it never got better. So, what interesting turn of events. I feel bad because sorry, Liz, you know, I was rooting for you. We're all rooting for you. And I'm sorry it had to be this way because truly I was like, you know, I don't know. It just went totally different than I thought it would.
Yeah.
So
I think that, you know, it's like file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. Like we didn't get what we paid for.
I'm filing now. Going on that old school website that like doesn't ever work properly, and I'm filing to the Better Business Bureau.
Imagine
so
50 Shades of Grey was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was getting BDSM, and I got an accidental pregnancy. You know? It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So
all the worst tropes, you guys.
Yeah.
All the worst tropes were brought into the chat, and we did not want that.
No. Okay, so also, let's just give our star and spice rating of the movie trilogy as a whole.
Okay, so confession time, right? I didn't. I couldn't get past the first one. I barely got through the first one at all. So I did the first movie and I about had enough. I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself. Unfortunately, it's just like the book in movie form, totally. But only like the worst changes. Like imagine the book, but worse. So
that's
for
funny.
me, that's what happened.
So Ashley will just be rating movie 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Movie 1. Yeah. First and last place. No, I mean, technically, because I can't go on any further, the rest would have to be below that. But hey,
yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Well,
yeah. Liz,
what would your star and spice rating be, though?
Oh, I mean, still, yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess a 2. Golly,
a 2-star movie
because they somehow made 3. They made a 3-star worse for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And then Spice, like, how would you rate Spice for movie 1?
Oh. I mean, I guess it was a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it was good.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. All right, so yeah, I did watch all 3 movies. So for a couple of reasons. 2 reasons. Reason 1 was back in the day, I had watched movies 1 and 2, but I had never seen movie 3. Okay, that should already be a bad sign, right? Where you watch 2 parts of a trilogy and then you're like, I don't need to see the end. It's fine.
Yeah.
But, you know, a little bit of my brain was curious, right? Like, what does happen at the end? Do they change it? Is it the same? Whatever. Okay, so that was one reason.
Yeah.
The other reason was because I literally was sick with a cold and, like, I was in bed and what else are you going to do? Like, it was like the perfect movie to watch, like, other than, like, a comfort movie, you know, like one that I've seen a million times. Like, the perfect movie to watch where I was like, my brain can be minimally engaged. I can be tired and not feeling well and it's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did watch all 3. I would rate them as movies, as films. As films.
Cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah. Okay. I'm torn on this for one reason. All right. So I would rate them a 3, you know, and that's like even kind of generous, honestly, if I'm comparing them to like because the only thing we can really compare them to is like other quote unquote romance movies.
Yeah.
Okay. But I will say this after watching all 3 movies. I do think it's very interesting that, because when did these come out? 2013, 2014, 15, somewhere in there.
Sure,
Okay, let's say
know.
like mid. Yeah, okay. The point is, I don't know that I have seen any other movies with such sexually explicit content continuously ever. And for that reason, I do think that they deserve a little bit of credit because I think that is important and doesn't happen enough in popular media because we still are very much living in like the residual effects of purity culture because we get to watch a lot of really horrifying stuff on TV all the time. Really.
Yeah. Beheadings and such.
Yeah. Or just, you know, gun violence, like other types of, you know, sexualized violence, like just a lot of really horrible things. So you can't even say like, oh, well, it's because across the board we censor TV. No.
No, we don't. Yeah.
We don't. So I think that it does deserve some credit for depicting, and I'd say most of the scenes, Anastasia having a good old time.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah. I think that's a good positive thing, you know? So for that reason, you know, it doesn't get lower than a 3-star. I feel like good for them for putting it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I wouldn't like rewatch them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, and then as far as Spice goes in movies, like, I'm going to have to, I mean, honestly, I struggle between a 4 and a 5 Spice because, like I said, I don't know that I've ever seen a movie with that frequent of, like, sexually explicit content happening in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I really struggle to think of, especially like in romance movies, like most of it is like maybe a little bit and then like closed door. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say for a movie that would make it to the movie theater, mainstream, you can rent it from your TV. It's that's rated R. You know, probably a 5, like probably a 5 Spice. I would say as far as like the trilogy goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, send me your recommendations if you know of ones that are more sexually explicit that are just like rated R movies. I'd be curious, honestly, that aren't rated R and sexually explicit because of, you know, traumatizing or triggering elements, but more so like everyone's having a good time kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You
Positive.
Know? Positive. Yeah. Obviously, they have their, you know, ups and downs, as any relationship does, but I wouldn't necessarily call for the majority of people anything in the movies particularly triggering when it comes to the sexual acts. So let's talk a little bit about the parody.
Okay.
And how we would rate the parody book before we just, like, move into kind of, like, discussing the movies and, you know, the book series as a whole kind of in more length. So, as we said before, we were originally going to do a whole episode based on 50 Shames of Earl Grey, but truly, like, it didn't really need its own episode.
Yeah.
It stuck pretty close to the plot line, I felt like.
Yeah.
Of 50 Shades of Grey. It just condensed it way down and made it funny.
Yeah. It put all 3 books into one, so I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
Now I forget.
Basically.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was like 300 pages. That's all we needed.
Not even, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all we needed.
Yeah.
They did us all a favor.
So that was a 0 spice or maybe like 1, but it was like funny.
Yeah.
It was like funny making fun of it spice, so it wasn't like for real. So I'd say like 1. And then I rated it a 3-star because I felt like while it had its moments, it wasn't particularly, in my opinion, that clever. Like, it was funny and the jokes were good, but I didn't find it to be remarkable, so I just gave it a 3.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I gave it a 3 as well for the same reasons. Because I was having a good time and it was funny. I listened to it. And, but some of the stuff was like a too obvious joke, you know?
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy all the millennial nostalgia that was in it. We're suckers for that. We love that. But was it a necessary parody? You know.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, it was a good time, but you don't have to read it unless you want to do it.
Like, really, unless you really want to double down on the 50 Shades content, you know?
Yeah. Needing more, but to make fun of it.
So
palate cleanser, maybe.
Yeah, just like a funny little, like, I listened to most of it. I want to say, like, did I listen to it on the plane? It was like pretty short, so I just like listened to the audiobook and I was just kind of like laughing to myself a little bit. Yeah, it must have been on the plane because I was making notes. Yeah. Okay, so should we get into the kind of spoilery section / like book versus movie showdown portion?
Sure.
Okay.
Boom boom, ja ja ja, chicka chee, wow. Time for spoilers. Let's go.
What's that?
I don't know.
So which should we like better? If we were to do like a movie versus book showdown. Obviously, you can only do book 1 versus movie 1, but what would you say would win out of the 2?
I'd have to go with book.
Interesting.
Yeah. So for that reason, okay, because I figured, okay, and this is a spoiler for my ranking, but book 1 was the best out of the bunch because I still had hope.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the movie was that bad that I made me like the book better, there can't be any hope for the other movies. I'm done.
Like,
so
you would
you
have
go.
to like turn a completely new leaf. Yeah.
Yeah. Which if I had time and, you know, I didn't prioritize it at all to finish it, I would have done it for science, but it was, I'd rather read my books. So sorry guys to disappoint. But you're the expert here. What say you? Let's go. So book 1, movie or book? Boom.
Book, for sure.
See?
But however, 2 and 3, I choose movie. Because I would...
Did they fix?
No, we'll talk about it a little bit. They fixed a couple problematic things, I feel like, in the movie, if for no other reason than to not have us hate Christian.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's one thing to kind of dislike him in the book, but if they were to put some of that stuff in the movie too, you'd be like, oh, and now everyone just like can't stand him. Great, you know?
Yeah.
I simply would say movie for 2 and 3 because there's no point in reading the books, in my opinion. Like, you could literally just watch the movies and it's good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to read 600 pages to tell me this story that, like, I half watched while sick and still digested completely fine. You know what I mean?
In an hour and a half.
In an hour and a half. Yeah. So I would say, you know, give the first book a chance for sure. I liked that it was a lot like Twilight, but then after that, it's kind of like, movies are good, you know?
Yeah. That's the reading order.
That's the reading.
consumption order.
So, ranking the books from most liked to least liked, how would you rank them?
Well, here's my full ranking, okay?
Okay.
Including the one movie I watched.
Okay.
50 Shades of Grey, obviously, number 1 spot. Number 2, I'm going to give it to the parody.
Yeah.
Number 3, 50 Shades Freed. Even though I didn't like it. Number 4, Darker, because I don't remember even what happened. Number 5 would be the movie because, like I said, somehow they made me like the book better. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we basically have the same ranking. That's interesting. So I ranked the books 50 Shades of Grey, Parody, 50 Shades Freed, and then 50 Shades Darker. Because in my opinion, book 2, like, literally nothing happened and it didn't... Why does it exist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to drag it out, I stand by. You could have just smushed Freed and Darker together.
Yeah.
If you want to have 2 books.
Yeah.
But look at Parody did it and all 3 in less than
300 pages.
300 pages.
And the whole series together was like 2,000 pages. Give me a break. I'm sorry.
Golly.
And then my movie ranking, was 1, so 50 Shades of Grey, and then 3, 50 Shades Freed, and then again 2, because again, why?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically the same vibes from both.
Exactly.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Yeah.
We'll give them that.
Yeah, it's true. It was consistent. I agree. So would you say that your favorite book then, just like mine, would be book 1, 50 Shades of Grey, if you had to choose a favorite out of this trilogy?
And I would say because we know it's Twilight fanfic, it felt the most Twilighty, so at least it had something to give me.
Yeah.
The movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the most, I mean, it was very Twilight vibes for a couple things I'll mention in a minute.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Yeah, same. Book 1 for sure. But that's when I still had hope in this world.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
None left, guys.
None left. I still had hope. I was fully immersed in the, rainy, angsty Seattle vibe that was very similar to Twilight, and even though Anna is a few years older, than Bella, they're still very similar too. So yeah, I was just really feeling it. And then, it just kind of went downhill from there, I guess you could say. But no, my least favorite book would be 2 though. Like the flip side of that. Yeah. So favorite book was 1. My least favorite's 2 for the reasons we've already said. It felt like filler. And felt unnecessary and long and drawn out to me in a way that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, unnecessary, and it kind of went off the Twilight rails. It's kind of like she tried to get away from that, which I get as an author. But like, oh shoot, this blew up, and now I want to kind of make it my own, maybe. But then obviously that didn't work out. And so back in book 3, we kind of reel it back into some Twilight with the wedding and the honeymoon and stuff. Yeah. So it's like you need to either be what you're going to be or don't ever be it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not fair for me to say. I'm just a consumer over here, but that's
We're
just
our opinions.
This is just what I feel. And yeah, with that said, if you're listening to this and you're like, I love these books, like more power to you. Yeah. I'm glad we are not very into contemporary romance as it is, and we didn't even know that's what it was going to be getting into it. So we were kind of sold from seeing it as spectators when it first was coming out as this dark romance, ooh, crazy. So that's what we think we're getting. And then when we get a contemporary billionaire romance, we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It
was, I think this is another reason why I ranked the movie 1 and the book 1 as my favorites, is because they were more Twilight-y, but also I think at that point Christian is still a mystery, and we love a good man of mystery around these parts, whether he's mysterious because he has a troubled past, or he's mysterious because he has a secret, or maybe he has magic, or maybe, you know what I mean? It's like, we love a good, broody, dark, mysterious man. And I feel like Christian was still kind of giving hints of that in the beginning. And, then that tied into this whole like BDSM lifestyle that we were thinking would be the darker place that he was going to take Anastasia to. And so we still thought that's where it was going in book 1. And then you find out as you're going through that it's actually doing the complete opposite of all that. And he does have kind of a dark secret, but it's mostly just terrible childhood trauma. And we work our way away from the BDSM lifestyle as we're working to the end of the books. And so
while the titles get increasingly more dramatic, darker, freed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When really it's like, okay, darker means that we're just getting more into Christian's troubled psyche, and then freed is basically just now because of this relationship with Anna, he's able to free himself from...
But does he, though?
But does he, though?
But does he, honestly? Which we talk all about in the last episode, covering Freed, because we don't feel like he does.
Imagine...
That would have been good. That would have brought it up if he was, like, actually getting some justice brought to him... actually fully, you know, he has this little moment of we don't get that full backstory of the full realization of everything that's happened to him.
Well, imagine if you could just like cure your trauma by getting a girlfriend for 4 months.
Yeah, like
amazing.
It all happened so fast.
That would be
too.
Just a amazing cure all, wouldn't it? But unfortunately, that's not realistic.
Yeah, so basically this book, like, we just end up hating the MMC because he's an emotionally stunted man-child that Anna has to come in and pick up the pieces of and cater to him. And then even in the epilogue, you know, my sweet little boy that they now have, just like his father, like have to take care of him and baby him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't like the representation. I didn't enjoy almost anything about it, except when they gallivanted around the globe. That was the only time I was enjoying it. I was like, oh, cool, Colorado. Love that place.
Yeah, exactly, right? Aspen, great. France, great. Like, really, cool. We just like the places they went. It had nothing to do with anything else.
I had to find something.
You know, I think that it needs to be said, though, and I want to make this really, really, really clear for anyone listening. Maybe you just hopped on this episode and haven't been following along with our journey. The reason why we find these books problematic, not enjoyable, why we don't like the MMC, like all these things, are not to do with any of the reasons why we thought those things would be true. So it's not because, you know, he necessarily like takes her, like I thought we were going to get into like he takes her on this like sexual journey into this like BDSM world that she's kind of like not into, and he has to kind of like manipulate and mold her into the submissive woman that he wants, right? None of that happens. Okay.
No.
So I just want to make that clear that is not why we have problems with these books. We literally have problems with these books because it was the complete opposite of what we expected. And while the MMC has significant trauma, it's basically just from child abuse. And that's it. That's like,
and like,
where it begins
obviously
and ends.
We need that representation. We read books with that content all the time, but this wasn't done in a way that was positive and healing. You know, it was very... Obviously, Christian dismisses it a lot and doesn't see it as an issue. So we take issues with the facts as they were presented. And I think at this point, and maybe it just comes to the publishers, who knows how much the author has control of at that point, but just purposely misled, you know, and just sold books in a way. So, but that could be really triggering for people that, you know, are triggered by some of this content to not know that going into it. It's totally different.
Yeah, you're thinking like, oh, well, you know, I'm really triggered by maybe manipulative partners, or, you know, maybe like, I don't know, like specific like sexual acts, things like that. It's like, well, those probably wouldn't be any of the reasons why this might trigger you. So yeah. So the issues we have are just all the representation was very, very surface level and just a little oversimplified, I think. Yeah. So that being said, did you have any favorite movie moments?
I did like that it had that grayish blue kind of aesthetic to it, just like Twilight, because that's like one of my favorite things about Twilight is that cinematography. And that's pretty much all I wrote down. Okay, I want to say, in my defense, I was going into the movie like, there is no way Dakota Johnson, is that her name? Is as bad as people say she is. Because I've seen her in other stuff. She's fine. Like, there's no way she could be bad.
I really like her a lot.
Yeah, there's like, you know, about this 50 Shades movie, her in this 50 Shades movie. I was like, there's no way her bangs are that bad. There's no way Christian is that awful of an actor. There ain't no way. This is a multi-million dollar film, you know? That all went into the film, like literal camera production, I think. I don't know what this director was on, but her acting, I'm sorry, terrible. Her bangs, I'm sorry, terrible. What length are you? It's like that terrible in-between stage. And I'm going to critique it this hard because I can, okay? Not that I'm perfect, but like, it's like either go short on the bangs or go long. What was that? It was like, and it was awkward. So I'm going to rag on it because I do it even with movies I like, okay? Also, I wrote down on here, oh no, bad wigs, just like Twilight, because her brother and her bad bangs, I don't think her bangs were a wig, but her brother enters the chat with like a bad wig at one point. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Were those the things that you hated about the movie?
Yeah, I went on a ramble because I found one thing that I liked and the rest everything I hated. And then I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say this. Tell me if this is too mean. Okay, the way Christian spoke, okay, is like, maybe like he's trying to have an American accent. I don't know anything about this actor. I don't know if he has an accent.
Yeah, he's Australian, I think.
Okay, because it was so distracting because he's just supposed to be like a Seattle dude, you know?
Yeah.
And it just felt like
too formal.
Awkward.
I think he was supposed to sound formal.
Okay.
And like I get that to a degree.
It didn't sound like that to me.
Yeah, it did sound weird. I agree.
Yeah. So it
didn't bother me as much as it bothered you, I think.
Yeah, their chemistry seemed fine enough to me. I just, as individually on screen, I thought it was a mess. So
yeah, that's fair. I did not have as big of a problem with Dakota Johnson's bangs.
Yeah, I did.
I have to say.
That's good.
I wasn't paying that close of attention.
At that point, I was looking at everything, okay?
Yeah, that's hilarious. I'm not saying they were good either, but I'm saying I just didn't care about them that much, you know?
Yeah, I guess it was hard to watch because I will say, in Dakota's defense, she seemed like Anastasia. It was her on from the paper onto the screen. Like, she got it. She nailed it. Christian, on the other hand, I don't think so. And that was another thing, is like, seems like a small guy. He didn't seem very domineering. He didn't give that vibe to me on the movie set. Like, he didn't seem like who I would picture as Grey. Nope. He seemed like who I would picture as the Christian version in Freed, honestly, because we kind of get to know him a little bit more. He's a little more boyish, because he's a little bit boyish, I guess.
Yeah, totally. So maybe they cast him perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. So
we've gone full circle.
Full circle. Well done. Bravo. Hey, people liked it. It's a multi-million-dollar hit, although it wasn't streaming everywhere and I had to pay for it. So
yeah. I will say that, I think it's the same. It's the effect that... It's the Bella effect. It's the Kristen Stewart effect. I feel like Kristen Stewart played Bella perfectly, and people criticize her all day long for how bad the acting was. Well, hey, did you read the books? Because I feel like it was spot on. And I feel like it was the same way with Dakota Johnson playing Anastasia.
Yeah. It's not her fault. The character sucks.
It's not her fault. Exactly.
And her character doesn't even suck. I don't even hate her character as much as I hate Christian's. But it's not her fault. She's awkward. She's just a inconsistent, awkward character. Yeah.
Yeah. But she played the character well, I thought,
She does.
Jamie Dornan, I think that's his name, who plays Christian. You're right. He's 5'11". I looked it up.
Yeah, it's not too short, but hey.
I mean, it's like you said. It's okay. So I'm rewatching right now with my husband, all the Christian Bale Batmans. Okay. Listen, there are other guys out there you could cast in a role like that so much better. Like, I don't know. For instance, circa this time, Christian Bale, for example.
Literally. Yeah.
I'm watching it like...
Yeah, that's who I would picture. You're right. American Psycho.
Yeah. 100%.
Mixed with Batman. Because more mysterious, like dark. Yeah. Although, I mean, American Psycho is obviously pretty dark too. But yeah.
There's plenty of times in Dark Knight where he's, he's dressed up like Bruce Wayne. So he's wearing a suit. He's going to his office. He's very like Christian Grey coded, only... I mean, I don't know how tall Christian Bale is, and I'm not going to look it up and no one tell me.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. But he gives those vibes more to me than Jamie Jordan. But as you're saying, he is very, he's got those big old round eyes and kind of that boyish face. And so it makes sense that they would cast him since he's essentially playing a man-child.
Yeah, but even my husband was like, wait, how did this guy make a bunch of money? This guy? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It needs to emote that powerful,
energy.
Billionaire energy, and he didn't to me.
He didn't.
So, sorry. Hey.
It felt very surface level, like superficial. I agree. Like, I feel like he would have played a good, like, guy in a rom-com.
Yeah.
Like, that we're not supposed to take so seriously. You know
Because
what
I
mean?
couldn't take him seriously.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, yeah, like, I'll just say it. He does not have daddy energy at all. He doesn't. End of
Or
story.
Dom energy.
No, neither. Okay, so I will say, though, since we've gone off topic here, things that I liked about the movie.
Yeah. We're just trying to end on a positive note for the movies,
Well,
it's intentional.
Should I start then with things I didn't like? Because I have a list of those
weren't
too.
the ones? No! That was just confirming my bias?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, go ahead with your favorite. Favorite things.
I put veiny arms.
Oh!
So there was
hey.
a lot of veiny arm shots, especially we know that I'm into a good guy that plays piano, the only acceptable instrument.
He did look very small playing the piano, but sorry.
It's okay. I think it was more of like the zoom ins
you gotta
of
get those
just
zoom
his
ins.
arms.
Yeah.
Just of the forearm area, if you will. And then you mentioned this. I think that, and I agree with you after watching it, the inception of the gray sweatpants obsession.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I posted
So I
on
think-
Threads. I'm like, you guys.
Yeah.
Are we here at the birthplace? Because it's mentioned a lot in the books.
I think so.
The invention of men in gray sweatpants.
Yeah.
Something
so he
does
definitely wears them a
Christmas
lot.
does come to us today. Veiny arms and gray sweatpants. Yeah, thank you, 50 Shades. Hey, we'll take
Thank
the
you.
good. We'll take the wins with the loses.
Yeah.
We'll accept.
We have to. We'll suffer through. In the movies, okay, so we talked extensively about the turning point in book 3 where we really started to dislike Christian when he freaked out when she told him that she was pregnant and he called her stupid. And that basically was like the kiss of death, I guess you could say, for Christian's character, right? In the movies, that does not happen.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that was a choice for sure, because I think that if that would have happened on screen, it would have been an automatic ick everyone out turning point in the series for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the movies, they depicted him more of like, it was like a much more lighthearted situation. It was like she tells him that she's pregnant. He's obviously upset, but he kind of acted more like a harmless, upset, like kind of mopey frat boy. Like he just went and had a few too many beers and then she tucked him into bed. You know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't the whole blowout like thing where he literally like calls her stupid to her face. Like that doesn't happen. And so I appreciated that. I didn't have to watch.
So we
that
learned our
play out.
lesson, Miss James.
We learned our lesson.
Good.
Yeah. My other favorite moment that wasn't really a favorite, but kind of. Okay, so I felt like all the spice in all the movies was just very like meh. Like just kind of whatever, you know? It's not
I was
like
just trying to be artsy, really, I felt like. Like, how can we get as many shots in without, getting it turned into a different rating?
Yeah, kind of, right? I did like in movie 3, things finally started actually getting interestingly spicy. There was one scene where I was like, look at you go. Like, this to me is actually like kind of racy to be on TV. Like, oh my gosh, like good for you. She says her safe word, I want to say within like, not even like 10 seconds. And I was like, and it's over. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought it was my favorite part of the movie, and then it quickly turned into a fail because they had to cut that one right off. Yeah. It was like the one time that I felt like Christian was actually giving any type of like real Dom energy, and then it was just gone in like the blink of an eye. So, hey.
And this is what we're talking about here. It's like we're sold a totally different thing than what we're given. It's a bit dramatic of the media and the people as they were. What is the word that I'm looking for? I don't know. Just people as a whole during that time. Like, are we reading the same book? Did we accidentally handed a different trilogy?
I know. Ordered the wrong thing. Yeah, so, I was a little bit, like, disappointed by that, because I was like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for this whole time. Just kidding. And so I feel like, though, that did further reiterate the fact that, you know, anyone who wants to criticize this series for being an unrealistic representation of a BDSM relationship, it's just a nice reminder that that isn't what this is. Yeah. And so, to critique it for that would not really make a whole lot of sense, I feel. Yeah. So my least favorite parts, going off of that, my two favorite phrases were never used in the movies. Yeah. So if you guys have been following along, you know that I love myself a good crack whore moment.
Yeah. Or 5 or 10 or infinity.
5. Yeah. Or a bitch troll moment.
Yes.
And neither of them were mentioned even once in the movie, which I get because, well, bitch weird. Troll I think would have been fine. Yeah. But yeah, crack whore would have been maybe a little much, but I was disappointed by that. Yeah. I did feel like it was focused a little bit less on the plot than it could have been. Like, I feel like the plot could have been a little bit more at the forefront just to suck us in a little bit more, make it more interesting. Mm-hmm. It kind of just felt like a whole bunch of disjointed, like, sex scenes mushed together. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the vibe I got, too, from the one movie I watched.
Yeah. I didn't get to see the inside of their remodeled house at the end. I didn't like that. I was looking forward to it. Yeah. I know. I was like, I want to see what it looks like in there. No, didn't get that. And then my one thing that I hated more than anything else in the whole series that I texted Ashley about in the night was the scene where Jamie is singing at the piano. Yeah. It was one of the most cringy things I think I've ever seen in film before. Yeah, it was terrible. Please don't ever make me watch that again. That's my hell. You know, it's like who's that like the Greek god, right, that has to keep pushing the boulder up the mountain for eternity? Yeah. It's like that. My version of that would be like my eyes are pried open and
Clockwork Orange style.
Yeah, and I have to like for eternity watch that scene of him trying to sing. It was just so cringe. Back to back to back to back. Yeah. Oh my god. So please no, never again. Yeah. Yeah. So just to kind of like switch gears a little bit, talk about something that we enjoyed. Did you have any favorite parody moments, quotes, or things from the parody book that you just thought were funny or
how about this? Do you want to bounce back and forth? Because I got a bunch of stuff written down. Yeah. Okay.
I have a bunch of stuff too.
My inner Guidette starts to talk to me. Instead of goddess, it was a Jersey Shore Guidette the whole time.
Yeah. BDSM stands for Bards, Dragons, Sorcery, and Magic.
Yeah, that was so funny and weird. His long fingers. His seriously long fingers. I like that they picked up all the ridiculous stuff we did, right? And turned it around.
Oh, because you couldn't not. You couldn't not, you know what I mean? So you had to pull a copy of Twilight, like the book, and that was like the way to open the secret door to his dorm room of doom.
Yeah, that was great.
So his secret BDSM room is basically just like a LARPing room. Yeah. Yeah.
He throws money around like monkeys throw poop. You know? Just all the great visuals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What a metaphor. There was a sex position called the Abe Lincoln, but it was not explained.
It was not. Dang it. I need to take a note.
I know. I like immediately thought of you because of Ashley had like a weird made up obsession with Abe Lincoln in high school. And so that's immediately what I thought of.
Yeah. She's working at Walmart instead of a hardware store. So this is when Gray like stalks her and finds her. I throw my smock off and it hits a customer riding a rascal scooter in the face and they run into a display of cheap Katy Perry perfume. Like, this is a short movie, like a short show, whatever, like a 30-minute movie.
Yeah,
would
like
be
a
funny.
sketch.
Yeah, sketch comedy.
Totally.
For sure. That's
Oh,
how
me,
it read.
me and Ashley, that's going to be our next
Yeah, great.
endeavor. Instead of having her fill out a contract, he has her fill out a 1,200-page Cosmo quiz.
Yes, I put that down too. So good. And it includes Team Jacob versus Team Edward.
Yeah.
So that was great. Just all the Tom Cruise references, because we also were doing that in one of our episodes about this before we read the parody.
I put that. His obsession with Tom Cruise on the plane, like his plane is the Tom Cruise plane from Top Gun. The stock car is the one that he drove in, like, what is it, Days of Thunder? Yeah, it was pretty good.
It's good.
Gray buying everything. So, like, when they just be like, oh, well, I just bought your college. Oh, well, I just bought that coffee shop. Oh, well, I just bought, like, I
you
just
like it? I
that.
just bought it.
Yeah.
Okay, she's having her inner monologue and she thinks, what will our babies look like? Will they have long fingers too?
He pays with a $1 million bill with Mitt Romney's face on it.
Okay, this is the last one I have.
Okay.
Every rose has its thorn was played in a moody vibe with a tambourine.
Yeah, it's a
That's how he
tambourine,
does it.
guys.
Every rose has its thorn. She walks in on him. I think that's instead of the piano, right? Yeah. That's so us. I love it.
Yeah. I honestly would prefer that to whatever we saw in freaking the real movie.
Yeah.
She's in a car crash where she sinks down to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. So Earl Grey drains the Pacific Ocean to go save her.
Get you a guy that'll drain the Pacific Ocean when you fall into it.
Seriously.
They don't make them like they used to in the
They don't.
1999. I don't know. 2000.
I was like, literally, it was like in 2012.
2000 and whatever. What is time?
His philanthropy project is to prevent drunk diving.
Yeah.
Because apparently it's a problem.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, he won't allow any I'm on a boat or Titanic references on his yacht.
Yeah. That just seems like good business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, one of my favorite quotes. What time is it? It's dicking hour, baby.
Yeah. As we all say.
Here's another one. Where were we? Oh, that's right. Nearing the city limit of Fucksville. Like, what's even happening right now?
Oh, that's so good. If they mixed some of those into the actual book, though, hey, I wouldn't have even noticed that much.
It's true. One of the best ways they could have possibly ended this was with Tom Cruise being the best man at his wedding.
Yeah.
The whole thing with 50 Shames of Grey is that Christian, or Earl, in this case, Earl Grey, he has 50 things that he's ashamed of.
Yeah.
Did you have any in particular that you wrote down that you thought were funny? Because I was keeping like a list of some of the things I thought were funny. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so some of the shames that I thought were hilarious, that he like, literally, these are his like secret traumas. He listens to Nickelback.
Oh my gosh, yes. I forgot to write that down. That was great.
He shops at Walmart, which I thought was funny. Obviously, he likes role-playing games. His favorite restaurant is Olive Garden.
Yeah.
He cried when Oprah went off the air.
Yeah, even though he never watched it or something like that.
Yeah. Oh my God, this one. Coconut lime body wash from Bath & Body Works.
Yeah.
That's his favorite. And the best one is that he laughs when the guy hits the propeller in Titanic every time he watches.
Yeah, I mean, hey, who doesn't? Relatable.
I was like, these are so random. I think that was my favorite part of this book, was like just thinking about the authors sitting down and like writing these, because that is very us coded. Like,
Yes.
what would be the most stupid thing we can think of? Oh, Tom Cruise being the best man at his wedding. Yeah. Okay, so now that we have covered our final thoughts on the book trilogy, our final thoughts on the movie trilogy, the parody, are you happy with the conclusion and the ending?
No.
Same. Same.
Great.
It was way too, like happily ever after coded for something that I think maybe should have ended a little bit more complexly, perhaps.
I think if you're going to deliver the type of themes and trauma that this author did, she did a disservice by wrapping up the ending in such like a happy, tidy little bow.
Yeah.
With no satisfying conclusion for those pieces.
Yeah, because it was just like, and then they got married, and then they had kids, and then they lived in the mansion overlooking the ocean or whatever, and everything was great.
Yeah.
The end.
Like, don't bring all that other chaos into it then. That's my thinking.
Yeah, just
you're
make
you're just going to hurt people more. I don't know. You're just going to open wounds and let them fester.
Yeah.
So.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Are there any unanswered questions that'll be nagging at the back of your brain?
Not at all. Goodbye.
Not at all. Goodbye.
What about you?
100,000,000%.
Yeah.
No. There's nothing about this 50 Shades universe that will be keeping me up at night.
No.
No. So, do you understand the hype and fandom? Now that we've experienced it. Also, no. It's hard for me to speak on this, like the question that I wrote. It's hard for me to speak on the question that I wrote.
How dare you ask me that, me?
I know. But no, truly it is. And, lots of times I come up with these questions because they're things that I really want to discuss and talk to you about and like hash out on the podcast because I'm not really sure how to answer them myself. So like, I don't necessarily understand the hype and fandom. If it came out today, I think it would fall incredibly flat.
Yes.
I think it's hard to relate to the hype and the fandom reading it now.
Yeah, and not at our age, because it's only like 12 years old, right?
Yeah.
But at
this time.
At this time such as this.
Yeah.
How far we've come in the romance genre. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what it is. If we were... It's almost like I wish I would have read this when it came out, because I feel like then I could have experienced that like shift moment that a lot of people probably did experience, who had people who had been reading romance for a long time and finally were like, we're getting a mainstream thing, like it's getting turned into a movie, it's being accepted by more people, or maybe someone who had never read romance and because everyone was reading this book picked it up and it changed the trajectory of their reading life. I think that reading it now after everything else that we've read and continue to read, being, luckily immersed in this community that's so, welcoming and accepting and open-minded, it falls flat, truly. Yeah. So no, I don't understand the hype and fandom. However, if I would have read it when it came out, maybe I would have a better understanding of that. Or maybe if you could send us back in time, a good old time machine, for us to like experience the phenomenon as it was happening.
You'd have a different appreciation for it. And we can give credit where credit's due. It did bring this to the mainstream and kind of make it more accessible to the public and maybe inspire other authors. Like, hey, I'm going to do my take, or I'm going to see the things I did and didn't like about this and make my own story. I'd love to find that out. Like, how many authors created books because of this? So yeah, definitely. I do give credit to the hype and the fandom for sure. I don't understand the fandom because I thought it was something else. So dear fandom of 50 Shades, what?
Like with romance, I think too, like a big part of it, right, is like we're collecting, or at least for me, I know you're a little bit more specific, but it's like, I like to collect my book boyfriends, right? And like Christian doesn't even begin to like skim the surface of like that fantasy for me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another part of it too, right? It's like you're reading romance books where that's supposed to be part of the fantasy, is this, you know, like hot billionaire sweeps you off your feet. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That might be our age, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the times, or a combination of both.
Yeah. I mean, and also I think in the back of my mind, you know, he's supposed to be an Edward. He ain't no Edward.
He ain't no Edward.
Edward was super mature. He's 100 years old, you know?
Yeah. Like, he had his moments, but I feel like at the end of the day, like, yeah, he was a 104-year-old virgin.
Yeah, so.
Or whatever. But still, yeah, I feel like got very different vibes. I feel like Edward was a much more well-written, well-rounded character also.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up this 50 Shades discussion, unless you have anything else to say about it, at the end of the day, would you say that you are happy or sad that the series exists and gained such popularity? And would you consider it to be problematic or overall a positive contribution?
I think that, kind of like what I was just saying, I can give credit where credit's due. It must have done something to the industry. And
Yeah.
I don't know, what's not the word, not normalized, but made it more accessible. I mean, it's the #1 best-selling romance book, guys. It did something. You can't tell me
Yeah.
that didn't have an effect on the industry and people's
Yeah.
reading tastes, you know?
It's
for better or worse.
influence. It had a pretty significant influence.
It did. So, yeah, I'm happy it exists, even if it's not for me, because obviously there's people out there that love it. So good for you.
I agree. I don't think that it was problematic enough. I was expecting to tear this book to shreds. I was like,
Well, we did, but for not what we were expecting.
Yeah.
Because it's cheesy, because
Yeah.
they didn't explicitly, you know, say what the darkness was going to be about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was weird, misled.
I mean, that I was thinking I was going to go into it and criticize it for ways that, in my opinion, could have been really, really detrimental.
Yeah.
And, you know, we find ourselves more so criticizing, you know, just lack of character development, not great writing, you know, not very great trauma and mental health representation, like things like that. So I feel like, you know, overall, I would say that it was a positive contribution to, you know, the romance canon in general, just for what it was able to do, the doors that it was able to open, and the conversations that were able to be had because of it. And I do think that the actual physical media representation via the movie versions was also positive, because I don't know that like I said, I've ever seen anything else like that, especially not something that got as popular as that.
Yeah. 50 Shades, movie fun fact. Originally cast as Christian Grey was Charlie Hunnam, otherwise known as that dude from Sons of Anarchy. But he had to back out at the last minute due to scheduling conflicts. So my question to you guys, would that have been a better casted Christian?
I don't think so.
Like
Personally.
Liz and I were just saying, he is blonde, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the most attractive I've ever seen him was in that movie, The Gentleman, with Matthew McConaughey, where it's kind of like mafia. Adjacent or whatever. And he was okay.
Yeah, better than this Christian, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but he's
by
also
a hair.
by a hair. I feel like I don't know. I did watch Sons of Anarchy and I didn't like it, and one of the reasons why I didn't like it was because I didn't like him, and so I have a hard time with it. Like, I feel like it might have just been like the same. You know what I mean? Like,
is he more intense though?
He's definitely more intense. But I don't know about in a good way.
Oh.
Like, I always felt like he was kind of like overacting.
Oh. Yeah, well, this guy was underacting, so we only got one or the other.
Can we meet in the middle? Can we find someone to meet in the middle?
Normal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us who your ideal fan cast would have been. I love Dakota Johnson. I would keep her as Anastasia.
Yeah, she did great at the end of the day. She did exactly as her character is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's beautiful. Like, I feel like she fits the role. But, like, who would be your fan cast for Christian in an ideal world? Who would it be?
Yeah, a young
Let us
Christian
know.
Bale for me. Younger.
Yeah. Younger,
I mean,
but
in
not too
my
young.
fan cast would be Christian Bale now, but like as appropriate for the movie.
We can't talk about that. We have to move on. It's getting too steamy in here. Christian Bale now. You can't handle the truth. Okay, now I'm just getting awkward. But no, seriously though, like who would you cast as Christian Grey? I think another part of it too is that it's like he's supposed to be 28. It's kind of like
it's hard. So
it's hard. It's hard when you're not in your 20s to like
Yeah.
think that's cute. You know, it's like I don't know.
So did Hollywood for the first time actually cast people that were the age that they're supposed to be? That might have been the problem.
Yeah, maybe.
Christian's
I know.
actually 28. Ugh.
I know.
Older, please.
At least 38. At least.
Yeah.
But let us
Let
know.
him
I'd be curious
marinate.
what people come up with. I know, just a little while, you know. Maybe that'd be extra bad though, because then we'd be like, now you're 38 and you still have all these issues. You're dealing with nothing.
That's true. Forget
Yeah.
it. Forget the whole
it.
thing.
It's a lose.
We can't
Get
win.
out, Anastasia. Get out. Okay. So on that note, we're just gonna wrap up 50 Shades of Grey.
Yay!
Yay.
Hey, goodbye, May. What do
Goodbye,
you say?
I say that we are going to announce our next mini episode series coming for this summer.
Ooh, wait, hey. Have we done a
Hey.
smash or pass yet for Christian Grey?
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, I know our answers, but sure.
I mean, maybe you don't, though.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
What do you say? Smash or
What do you
pass?
say?
Christian Grey.
Christian Grey. I say smash.
Okay.
Simply because, why not?
Why?
Like,
Oh,
you know what I
okay.
mean? Why not?
Yeah.
Like, take me to the Red Room and actually maybe do something.
Long
Do something about it.
fingers.
I'm not going to think about that.
Okay.
Don't make
Yeah.
me think too hard about that. Yeah,
I'm out.
you're out. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't have anything to do with personality for
Yeah,
me.
that's for sure.
It would
yeah.
just be like, well, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
Poor thing. I think I'd scare him. It's okay.
Apparently. He's all talk at this point.
Yeah, he's all talk. I think that's what it would be. It would almost be like a standoff. Like, I think that you're all talk. Let's see. Let's see what you got.
Just
28.
both like
Okay.
doing that stare down thing that dogs kind of do. Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, not necessarily because I think that he has anything all that exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There. We said it.
So now that has been discussed, the important hard-hitting news.
Yeah.
So we have a summer coming of age girlhood series coming up.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Pendulum be swinging, guys. Swinging
Yes.
hard.
Swinging hard. So we are going to be reading, covering... I almost said 50 Shades of Grey again. Like,
One more time.
this is a nightmare. And you're all trapped in it with us.
We're in the bad place. Mayday, mayday.
Mayday, mayday. No, we're going to be covering Anne of Green Gables. It almost sounds like a joke when I say it after that.
No, it does. No, but we're really serious.
We're really serious.
Ah.
We are going to be reading all 8 Anne of Green Gables books. Okay, so for anyone who has ever accused us of not reading everything under the sun, here we go.
Nobody,
A
but that's
variety,
fine.
if you will. No one, exactly. So we'll be covering the series in its entirety. The reason why we're doing this, and so I have my original copies from back in the day. You can see how old and decrepit they are.
Yeah.
But I only have ever read books 1, 2, and 3. There are 8 books, and so when we were thinking about doing this series, we were trying to decide if we were just going to do the first 3, if we were going to do the full series. We decided to read all 8 because Ashley's never read any of them before.
None.
So super exciting. I've only read 3 back in probably elementary school.
Yeah.
And so we're going to read all 8 to tell you guys whether or not we think it's worth it to read the entire series all together because we've heard mixed reviews about it. And then the kind of the format's going to be, we'll cover 2 books because they're a little shorter. So we'll cover 2 books per episode. And then we will have our final episode, not unlike this one, covering the movies and kind of like our overall thoughts of the series. Just to be clear, in case anyone wants to rewatch these with us, we will be watching the 1985 and 1987 movies, part 1 and 2, and then the continuing story that came out in 2000. I had to do a lot of digging to figure that out. Because we don't want a Secret Garden situation where we're all watching a different movie.
Or Dark is Rising. Yep.
Yeah. So, we're going to have the Fable chats up for those, if not already, then shortly, so that you guys could get started on those. We thought it'd be fun because it's summertime. You guys can read them with your kids if you have kids of the appropriate age.
Yeah, I'll be reading them with my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be so fun. We're going to be watching the movies with them. Yeah. I'm so excited.
You guys, I got to visit Liz this summer, so I'll be at her locale, and we're going to watch all the movies together. It's going to be so fun.
Yay. I love them. I've seen them so many times. Like, oh my gosh, they're such a treat. And I'm so excited to share them with you.
I remember my older sister loved them, but I almost have like no memory of them. So it's going to be all new to me. Yeah.
Experience me the first time.
Yay.
So if you guys want to get on the Anne of Green Gables bandwagon, please join it with us. It's going to be a good old time.
Yep.
That's
good.
I'm like, do we have anything else to say about that? I think that's it.
That's good. I think that's good. So make sure to check us out on Fable at Besties in the Book Club. That's a free app that you can download and you can remain spoiler free. You can just jump into any chapter that you're reading and leave a comment, see what we have to say. And that goes for all of these miniseries that we do, as well as our monthly virtual book club. Right now for May, we are finishing out Enchantra, the follow-up to Phantasma. So far, I almost remember nothing about Phantasma, so I don't think you need to read Phantasma first. Because she kind of has been recapping a little bit. So for anybody wondering. And then who knows what June will be. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok to find out, because we'll be announcing that shortly, the June book club read. And make sure to follow us and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcasts, including YouTube, Besties in the Books podcast everywhere. You guys, every Tuesday, we're going to be dropping episodes. There's so many things happening. Okay, so get your pen and paper out. We got... for June and July will also be our Spark of the Everflame months / Kindred Curse saga. So stay tuned for that. That'll be on Tuesdays. And then every other week will be different, themed episodes. So if you're not reading that series, you don't have to miss out on our episodes. And then the mini series for Anne of Green Gables, I believe that'll start in August and September. Yeah, something like that.
How exciting.
So, you guys, we can't wait to see you again next time. Thanks for sticking around.
Yes.
And we will see you then or another time.
At another time.
Bye,
guys.